evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Sorry, it's closing something out over there, but good to have you this afternoon or tonight, I guess it would be. Well, it's afternoon too. Yeah, we're gonna have we'll be talking to Donald. He's been doing some wood carving lately. Actually, carving alphabet blocks is what he's been doing. So they look pretty cool. I told my wife, she goes, "That's pretty cool." She goes, "Why don't you try that out?" I've got a pneumatic engraver, honey. I've tried it. My engraving sucks when I do it by hand. That's the reason I do it by CNC. She goes, "How do you do that on CNC?" I said, "I get a big piece of wood, 2.5, 3 inches thick, and I carve them all up with a little space, and I cut them out with my table saw." That's the best way for me to do it because, you know, I have tried. Trust me, I just mine. Donald's looked. I mean, good compared. Mine, you wouldn't be able to tell if it was an E or a W when I got through with it. So it's like, yeah, mine's terrible. I don't matter. My hands just especially. I tried it. I tried it when I was younger, but I tried it when I was older, and I still suck at it. So it doesn't matter.
That's why I keep that block of wood under my hand. It keeps my hands steady.
Yeah, I have to. If I'm going to do anything like painting or whatever, I usually keep some towels around, and I'll stack them up so I can put my hand in the towels, and it helps steady my hand when I'm trying to paint some small stuff. But yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves and get that over real quick, Chris.
Hey guys, Chris here at the Old Cranky Workshop. Got some projects underway right now. Hopefully I'll get a video done.
Good. Al?
You're muted.
You're muted again.
Al Forte, Odessa Woodworking, Maker Shop, Kilroy, 79763, all over the place. I stream sometimes, I guess, on Twitch, 2 p.m. Central. I don't know. Been wondering about just doing some streaming on YouTube, but anyway, great to be here.
Good. Donna?
Hey, Donna Presley and Mother Rose. Everybody's fine. We're doing great. Glad to be here. You can find me, yes, here, because I'm basically no place else. But Facebook, you can find me on Facebook. There you go.
Sounds like Paul.
Donald. Sorry.
I'm Donald Matthews from Donald Mattews Wood Shop. You find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now. And I got a website called redneckknowhow.com.
Cool. Jim?
Hang on, you caught me typing a joke into the chat.
Well, I just noticed your name is a Jim Shears, Winter Blows.
Yeah, we got snow here. Dixon's got snow. Paul's got snow.
Blizzard.
Snow? What's that?
I was getting ready to what is snow.
Yeah. No, driveway workshop and been fighting a 3D printer project all week. Well, not all week, but that's about it.
Paul
Corliss, Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, Instagram, and hopefully tomorrow, unless we get company, I'll be watching Al's show at 3:00 real time Central over on Twitch. Kilroy 796.
What do you want to see, Paul?
Huh?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Continue.
I want to see some more laser projects.
Okay, well, that's what I asked. What do you want to see? And he was saying Kilroy 79763. I had to.
Yeah, I said I want to see some more laser projects.
Oh,
I bought some. I have a hat press, and I bought some leather patches that with adhesive backing on the back of them to put on your hats. So this week I'm going to attempt to engrave on the leather patches with the laser and then try to stick them on a couple of hats and see how they work. So
very doable. Very, very doable.
Yep. Dixon.
I'm Dixon Hoffman. You can find me at Hoffman Signs and Details, vinyl, cards, 3D printing. And we had a blizzard the last 2 days, so late, about 2 o'clock, I was shoveling 2 feet off the back deck.
Great. Mary. Now, Mary's our newest. She's going to start joining us, and she's Donna's sister, and she does embroidery and sewing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I figured I want to learn more about it anyway, so we're going to talk about some of that in the future with Mary on board and Donna. Between the two of them, I'm sure we can learn a lot. But go ahead, Mary. You got a website and a Facebook page. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Mary Easley. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me. Also, I'll add it later. Hollyama or Martex embroidery machine dealer or distributor. But you can find me. If you can find Donna, you can find me.
Now, can you discuss just a little bit, because I've read and heard a little bit about that Holiyama, or how you want to say that, is kind of like backed out away from you or quit supporting their machines, or what's going on with that?
Well, I own the trademark in the United States, so they were trying to get other distributors, and there's no other way to put it. I shut them down. So, and I got them before they got me. But everybody that gets embroidery machines from me, we're still using our machines. I have got another distributor that will start bringing in a new edition that will start carrying those, and it's still going to be pretty much the same thing what we've got. I'm still going to keep the prices reasonable. We're still going to be able to do our hats and our flats and everything like we normally do. You're still going to have me for support. We'll just have a lot more support, and just looking forward to going forward. The new machine will be in about the middle of February. In the meantime, I still have the other machines. We're still using them. It's up. I'm leaving it up to everybody. If you want to keep that Hollyama on it, it's fine. I own it. Fine with that. But we are switching everything over to Martex, which will be new.
Absolutely great. I'm glad it worked out that well for you, because I mean, not right now, but probably later on down the road, I definitely want. First, I want to use the little one needle machine to learn. I really want to get into also, I got to talk with you and Donna and look at some YouTube videos. I want to create my own patches, which appliques, however you want to put it.
Yes.
But, you know,
nothing.
Yeah. So I can make them and glue them to the front of hats, or, there's several other.
You can sew them. You can, if you have a commercial machine, you can sew them down on the hat.
Yeah. Here's the question I have for you real quick before we get to Donald. Now, I noticed some of the hats that I bought and just didn't think about it, but they have that seam down the middle. Now, I don't know if my machine will embroider across that thick seam.
It will.
Yours,
yeah. Which one's he got?
The Genome. Yeah, but the Holiyama, it'll go through that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
And then I yelled from off far away, "Mine will."
Yeah. Well, I did when I bought mine. I only paid $1,400 with tax and everything, $1,400 for it. So I only bought it as a learning thing and to get into embroidery. And let me tell you, once I got the problem solved, which the buttholes that Genome didn't want to help at all. They wanted me to send it back all the way over, way off, like $300 in shipping. Right. And I fixed it on my own. It was Donna set me off to it that the needle was not aligned. And sure enough, after it looked perfect when it went down into the opening. But after it got toward the bottom, which is the bottom of the stroke, it would make a move and would be off centered. And I'm like, So I found the screw that was the setting for it and kept on messing around till I got it. By George, aligned up perfectly, tightened up the screw, put it back together, and it's been working great ever since.
And I told him, don't tell them, because if you take it apart, they're gonna void your warranty.
Oh, I don't. It's they, as far as I'm concerned, they want $300 to me to ship it over there and ship it back. I'm like, it's the warranty's void anyway. I ain't paying. Yeah, they won't even pay. Yeah,
Well,
they won't even pay for shipping.
Well, that's the one thing with the commercial machines is we teach you to self-maintain the machine. We're always available to help you, but as long as you take, Donna, how long have you had your machine? And Sheen had no issues with it that she couldn't call me and fix.
I've had mine 4 or 5 years. It works better than the day I got it, but I'm good.
Right. Well, you learned how to tweak it, in other words.
Yeah. Do you work on your own machine?
Yes, she does.
Do you work on your own machine?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what it is. I'll call Mary and say, hey, it's doing this. I haven't had it do that before. What do I need to do? And my needle was out of alignment one time. I told Mary, I said, it's breaking needles on hats. It's got to be out of line.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's manuals and there's procedures and
Well, and one thing about it, when I first started, I started because it took somebody too long to put a name on a quilt. And I started with a single needle. So, and I had 8 of those. And then I thought, maybe I ought to just, I moved up a little.
Put them together.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, I bought this as to learn. And I can because I want the patches I want to make are pretty much going to be single colored. I'm not going to need 2 or 3 colors. Like I can make a patch out of Russell Clarity Construction, and so small patches or whatever. But I want to get into that process because I know your machine will make them, and then they'll turn around. I'll be able to actually not only make them, but just sew it on the front of the hat. So
yes. So, but we all started with one.
Yeah.
It's intimidating when you get the bigger ones. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
No, I'm enjoying this one since I got it fixed. Oh my God. I love just playing around with it. I'm like, I did that towel that I posted on the my Facebook page. Yeah, I did the all the heart or the cross and the flowers are all DTF. I printed them, but all the words are done embroidery. And it looks so good. I mean, it's like, wow. Even my wife said, wow, that's one of the best ones you've made as of yet. And so I love the look of embroidery, especially on letters and stuff like that, emblems or whatever. It looks just, so you can tell the difference in a heartbeat. It looks good.
Yes. And it's like, just don't let anybody scare you with it. There's not anything you can't do if you don't put your mind to it.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Well, I'm enjoying this one.
You don't have to spend $40,000 to do it.
No. And you asked me, your friend asked you about the one I've got. I would highly recommend it. You might have to do a little playing around with it to adjust it or whatever, which I did on mine. But once I made that adjustment, it is sewing fantastic. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I mean, it's doing everything I could ask.
You're always better off maintaining your own equipment to learn.
You are.
And another time, you don't have downtime where they keep it for 3 weeks to 3 months.
You're at their mercy. You got to maintain all your own equipment.
And even with that one that you have, if you start using it a little bit more and a little bit more, do not be afraid to take your compressor and blow that out and clean it out.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, just send it to me.
Can mess you up.
Yeah.
If you can't figure it out, just send it to me for $99.95.
$99.95.
$99.95, and I'll get it running.
I'd say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it broke and you work on it and it's still broke, well, just send it in for service. Send it into Dixon. Anyway.
Well, when I first started having the issue, Donna said it sounds like it's out of alignment. But I looked at it, and you would bring the needle down to the hole, and you would see that it's in the center of the hole. I left it at that. And then I got to thinking, all right, so I took the bobbin and everything out of it and the bobbin cover and all that kind of stuff. And then I started looking at it and I started making it go through the entire stroke. And as it come down to that final bit, it would go like to the left. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what's wrong with this thing. So it took me about an hour to watch it going up and down and following all the parts to find one screw, one little damn screw. And I found that screw and I loosened it and I pushed it over just a little bit and tightened that screw back up and brought the thing down, and it was perfectly right in the center all the way to the bottom of the stroke. And I'm like, damn, that's all it was. Put it back together and fired it off, and boom, it started working.
Right. And just
at that.
And then just always make sure that your needle is all the way up in that hole, because some people have not quite got it up there.
Yeah.
It will start breaking as well, because it'll do the same effect.
Yeah, because it's actually going lower than what it's supposed to, so to speak. Yeah.
Russ, Heirloom Game Calls sent you a couple laser pictures to your contest email.
Okay. We might do that in the next week or so. Show off all the pictures anybody send them. I mean, y'all can send me pictures anytime. There's no to the contest at simplywoodencreations.com. I'll let this out there. Contest at simplywoodencreations.com. You can send me pictures of your projects anytime, any day, any shape. Because what I do after the showing, I delete everything, so everything just sits there until. And when we have another showing, then I'll show off all your pictures, even the ones that you've already sent ahead. So just send anything you want, and I'll show it.
Oh, I left out the wooden.
Yep. So, all right. That being said, we were going to talk to Donald tonight about he's doing some engraving on some wooden blocks for like kids blocks, and he's hand engraving them. So, go ahead, Donald.
Yeah, I've got a little pneumatic engraver that I cut the blocks out to the size I wanted them and printed some sheets with the letters the size I wanted them to do. Took a glue stick, technically glued it on there so I'd have a pattern, and then you just trace it out.
How do you keep your damn hands from wandering all over the place?
I keep a block there that I rest my hand on while I'm working with it, and I just kind of move my fingers more than I do my hand, and that's how I keep my hands steady.
Cool.
I got an idea now for a wristband with a block on it for people that paint and stuff. Wow. Hey, I got the idea, folks. It's no one else's. Okay.
I think I got a better idea than that. I got one that has an arm coming out with a cable that goes down, and you put a wristband on, and you set the height and lock it in, and then you can move your arm any direction you want, but it'll stay at the same height, but yet you let your fingers move. So I got a patent. I'm going to apply for a patent for that tomorrow. So I got you beat, Al.
I can beat that. I just strap my arm to my CNC.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just strap my arm to my CNC and then I hit run.
But I sent you a video to that video I did.
Yeah, I've got it. Let me go ahead and be talking about. All right, where did you get your pneumatic engraver from?
It's an SCM engraver. Technically, my sister bought it. Was going to get into doing the glass etching and stuff like that, and things happened and she couldn't do it. And she saw me doing some carving with a Dremel tool, but you can do all this with a Dremel tool too. It just won't be as detailed. And she asked me if I wanted to use it, and I kind of confiscated it. And which is good because those things are expensive.
Can you install different bits on yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It comes with a thing of bits. Matter of fact, in the video, I show a picture of the bit next to a quarter, just kind of show how small they are.
So does it turn, or does it go in and out, or does it do a dance?
It's a high-speed rotary tool that works with air instead of power.
It is a high-speed
now I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yep, air.
Yeah, which is what you just said, and I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's a carving, a pneumatic carving tool. I have one almost identical to his, except where his has got that. His has got like the air hose comes off at the side or at the bottom side, and then he has an adjustment on the end. Mine comes straight out the back, and how you do it is it's got a twist end before the bit, and you twist the first time it comes on, and the faster you, or the more to the right you twist it, the higher the speed goes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all basically the same.
Mine
thing.
is just one speed, and it's real quick.
Yeah, it works really. They work really well. I mean, I used mine. I can't complain about the tool. My problem is being able to hold on to that sucker and make it go where I want it to go.
Yeah, that's the problem I have. Does it sound like a Dremel, or does it, or a die cutter?
Yeah. No, it's high speed. It's got a whine.
It's got to sound like a little mini turbine.
It sounds like a dentist drill.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do you run it off a little tabletop compressor or your big compressor? Or?
You can, but when you do when you get a smaller compressor than what I got, I use a pancake air compressor.
Yeah.
The air runs out and it don't fill up quick enough, so you start losing power in your tool.
Right.
So I just moved up to the first. I had my brother-in-law's old 8-gallon compressor.
Yeah.
And that was wonderful. You never ran out of air, damn. But when I left from where I was at, I ended up having to get a little pancake compressor, and it does fine.
Yeah, they're. You're right. A small compressor will work great.
Heirloom
but a little bit bigger than those that you would use for an airbrush. An airbrush compressor will not handle the volume that it needs. You need like a small pancake, but even a cheap small pancake will work. It's just the airbrush compressor just don't have enough volume for what it needs.
And
I've tried name? What brand is that, Donald?
Of the engraver.
Yeah.
It's called SCM Engraving. And they've got a company that sells the engraver, a sandblasting machine, and all that stuff. It's for getting you into the business of doing this, of engraving trophies, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Okay, I'm posting a link to that out there. If anybody wants to look at the website.
We are going to go with, I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to watch his little video that he sent me. And
wow, 400,000 RPM. That's fast.
And this is an older model than what they have up there. This one you actually have to stop and oil it just a tiny bit every so many hours or whatever. The new one here, you don't have to oil it at all. And this
is the engraver. You go ahead and talk, Donald.
It's about the size of a cigar pen, and that's the bit that goes in it. Or one of them, and it's just tiny.
No, it sounds like a dentist drill.
Hang on, Jim. Hang on. I just want people to know what it sounds like.
It does sound like a dentist drill.
That's the sound out now. You may have an adverse effect for those that sound of the dentist. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it.
I'm out of here. I'll see you guys.
And this, I'm just tracing. Sorry about the loud music. I'm just tracing everything. That's basically all you do to start off, or all I do.
Wow, Donald.
Does it come with a volume control?
I just turned off the volume. I wanted y'all to hear that whine.
And that's exactly what it is a dentist drill.
Yeah.
Sure. It don't bother me that much, but a lot of people I've done it, left it, tried to lead sound in my videos. They did not care for it.
That block has 6 cavities.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me.
You can see the wood, the block of wood I have there on the left. I've got my hand resting on it.
Yeah, Yeah, all those lines on the side of the block of the wood, actually, the veins are the hard part compared to the white part.
That's why you'll see me every once in a while. I have to go back and kind of whittle it away a little bit because it just.
I'm impressed even already at your ability to trace the letter.
Right. It's like he's so steady with it.
He is, compared to I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, without even removing the other part, you're going to remove everything in the white. But yeah, I'm kind of impressed that your ability to trace that damn letter.
Well, when I was a child hooligan, I got a lot of practice tracing my parents' signature.
Now, do you start kind of shallow and work your way deep as far as? I tried that one time and it seemed to help. I would go down the whole line at a certain depth and then come back and make it a little deeper, then come back and make it a little deeper, and then start trying to whittle out all the other parts. Is that kind of like the way you do it?
Yeah, for the most part. Except like in between those lines where the wood's softer, you can kind of go on through it. But like right here, I'm on a line. You'll see me going back and forth on it.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Did you snap any bits?
Not yet. I've gotten to where I have in the past, but I've kind of gotten to where I can tell. I let the tool do the work instead of me trying to hog it out.
Right, trying to force it through. Yeah, yeah. No, I saw them. They look good. I mean, by no means they're not CNC quality, but in the same aspect, by hand, damn, that's good.
It was in fact this tool that taught me a lesson about making sure I always wear my goggles.
Yeah.
Because one of them one of them bits snapped off and flew back and hit me just below my eye. And it stung and bled a little bit. Ever since then, I always put the eye goggles.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, if that thing's turning high speed, it's.
You know, Don, you always remember your first date and your near blinding experience.
Oh, yes.
and by the way, Russ and gang, it's not CNC when he's doing it. Okay, it's D&D done, or DBD done by Donald.
Yeah.
So it's not a CNC there.
And there's some people out there that can totally freehand this stuff.
Yes, I
have a bit of a pattern. I've got to have some sort of pattern.
There's a guy, and I can't think of his name, and I know him, and I've watched him and watched some of his videos, and he makes signs, and he will draw the sign out onto a piece of wood and hand cut that with a router. Both hands on a router and hand engrave that. And when he does that sign and you look at it, you go like, oh my God, he did it's CNC quality by hand.
Yeah. Some people can do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's got it. And think of whenever we had, what was his name that did the cherry blossom thing on his daughter's headboard or whatever for a bed? Yeah. Remember how he inlaid those by hand? I still have that piece.
Full-size router on them tiny little pieces.
Yeah, I still have that square. As a matter of fact, I might have it here that he sent me because I told him I'd like to have that. And he goes, I'll send it to you, Russ. I still have it. Matter of fact, when we get through, I'll show it to you.
Here, I've finished tracing it. I'm just scraping that pattern off with a hard scraper. You can use a paint scraper or whatever. I'm done with the pattern now. So.
Right, you can scrape the pattern off and go for it.
You're right.
Now they actually sell some clear paper, self-adhesive paper, but it's cheaper for me to do it this way.
No, I agree. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's clear or whatever. You just scrape it off and go for it now that you've traced it.
Right.
And then that allows you to see the lines, the hard parts, and then you can kind of like work towards them.
And now I'm just starting to remove, I've got that little ball bit. I call it a ball bit. I was using a straight edge to trace it out with. I switched over to a tiny ball bit to start removing the wood that I want removed. Now I'll go through and I'll remove all that stuff around that 6 and around the border there.
So how do you know that's a 6?
And not a 9.
It just depends on which way you're looking at it.
Right. Jimbo says he uses a router and he has bits, and I think you saw that, Jim. He actually has bits that small to do blocks like that. Yeah. But this is cool. This is really cool.
Heirloom Game Call said, should you slow down if you lower air pressure? Sure, it's going to slow it down if you use lower air pressure.
I think he was making that comment that if you slow it, you lower the air pressure, it slows it down.
It slows it down to a point where the bit will actually start stopping.
Yeah, and that's the point, is these things are designed for exactly high speed, high, or whatever the pressure is, and they're not designed for... Now, mine, like I said, I can keep the consistent air pressure, but slow it down or raise it up. It's on the end next to the bit is a black, I want to say perforated or whatever knob, but it feels like kind of smooth, and you just twist it one way and it speeds the bit up, twist it the other way and it slows it down. I mean, it's a real nice engraver. I just, matter of fact, I don't use it anymore. I might send it to you, Donald, and see how you like it.
Cool. Now, it used to be, this tool's getting kind of worn because I've used the heck out of it. Back for years when I was doing this stuff, the bit would actually burn the wood.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's just this being Douglas fir, it don't want to do that. It won't burn the wood on this one.
Well, it's also the price of your bits, my friend. If you buy cheap bits in this situation, you buy cheap bits. If you buy like a higher grade quality, like an Amana, or because they make these kind of bits even.
And here's the guy putting a little bit of
oil in it. Yeah, a little oil, 3-in-1.
Yeah.
My mom used to drop. My mom used to sew a lot, and her machine required 3-in-1 oil for lubrication. And I remember her taking the covers off of her machine and oiling it and putting it back together and go for it.
And that may be the me needing new bits may be the part of the problem, because these are the same bits I've been using in it for 10 years.
Oh,
wow. I don't know if anybody asked, but she had an old Singer sewing machine. Back in the day, the Singer, so Singer, I think it was the...
Yep, that was it.
Yep.
So in other words, if you can't afford an air compressor and you have to blow on that, you're going to get dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better be an excellent blower.
Messy up.
But I know a few guys that enjoy it. Never mind. I'm sorry.
I'm not making any comments.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Sure you are.
And this is where I do that stipple background.
Right.
And it's just poking the wood. Is basically all it is.
Yeah, just poking that down a little bit of half moons or half circles.
Right. You just, well, yeah, I guess it is a half circle. You just poke it into the wood.
And you're not holding it in the same spot, so you're not going to burn the wood.
Yeah.
No, just little tiny
feed rate.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It is feed rate. You're right.
It's all about
manual feed rate. Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter on this because I'm going to stain that and then paint the letters like yellow and red and stuff to kind of draw his attention to them.
Right. Oh, it looks good.
Yeah, I like it.
Very nice.
And here in a few minutes, I'll show you the finished product. It seems like a lot of work, but what I'm doing here is really pretty basic, simple carving. It's not complicated.
Yeah, but I'm impressed with your. I mean, I'm sorry, but I can't. I have tried doing some simple stuff like this, and mine looks like crap. I mean, I know it's hand carved and it's not going to be perfect, but that 6 looks damn good.
Now, wait a sec.
If you make a mistake, you can always change it to a 9. You can fix
Right?
it, change it to a 9.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. So is it hand carved if you use a pneumatic tool?
It's still hand carved as far as I'm concerned.
I'm using the tool with my hands.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hand carved.
Staying out of that
It's
one.
like
It's hand carved with machinery help.
yeah.
His hand is the CNC and his brain is the processor.
Yeah. Exactly.
I
No, I mean, yeah, it's obviously not. He's not using like specific hand tools, but by God, he's hand doing it.
I sure as heck wouldn't try to attempt this with a mallet, with a chisel, not a mallet.
No, hell no, hell no.
And amazing maybe guys that could.
You know what'd be kind of
No,
cool is that when you laser something on a piece of pine, the laser will go down in there pretty far. So if you could, cut out the spots where he's, gouged all the wood out, it's going to be
And that's it.
awesome. Then go back through there and stipple it with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
With that
That's it.
dentist drill that he's got.
Right.
Yeah, I've done that before. What I do is put a piece of paper, that adhesive paper, over the top of my project, let the laser engrave and turn it up high. I mean, like 80%, let it cut down into the wood. And then after it cuts down into the wood, I will spray paint it and then pull the paper off and then run my disc sander across it and remove anything off of it. And it looks like it's been engraved with a CNC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, I like the stipple effect. The stipple effect looks really
that does look cool.
There's a number of ways you can do it. I've done it with like checkering, like the checkering you'd find on a gun, but that's just the simplest, easiest go-to.
No, that's great.
I'm trying to figure out how the heck to get out of
Yeah, I was wanting to click on one of the side advertisements there on YouTube. I thought that's what that was, and it's Donald's video.
trying to figure out how to get out of this. There we go.
All right, there we go.
That engraver comes in several different sizes. Like that ball bit I was using on next to the smallest one. They go up a little bit bigger if you want to remove a little bit more waste. And the kit that she gave me has diamond tips for doing glass. And,
right. Yeah.
Tips, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought one of those kits. Yeah, you can you can do glass. It depends on how well you can hold the damn bit. But yeah, you can engrave glass or whatever. So you want to show us one that you finished? You said?
That was it at the end of the video.
Oh, I thought you meant color painted.
Oh, no, I ain't got it painted yet.
Oh, you ain't got them painted yet. Okay, cool.
I was talking about burning the wood. If I wasn't going to, it would be nice to have that burnt effect in the background back there. But since I'm gonna stain it and then paint the numbers yellow and red and blue or what have you. Because I was just gonna leave it natural. And my housemate was talking about, technically you want to paint them. You want them to have like colorful numbers for an infant, for a kid.
Right, to make them attract to it.
Right.
Yeah, multiple colors. And with the days acrylic
paint, same color.
Huh?
No.
The 6 and the 9 the same color.
Oh yeah.
Now that I think about it, I should have put a line up underneath that 6.
Yeah. Yeah, and all you got is acrylic paints the way they're made nowadays. Even polyurethane. People are saying, "Oh, the food touching." All of them are there's a difference between drying kind and cured. As long as you let it cure, find out what the average curing time for the acrylic paint. So it might be 3 days or whatever. Once it cures, it's fine. They can chew on it all day long. It ain't gonna hurt them. It ain't like the old lead paint they used to put on baby cribs, and the poor little kids would chew on it and become
Chew on the rail.
Yeah, it's like
We
it's
turned
not
out
that
okay.
way anymore.
You mean that paint I used to chew on?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
So I only did it once.
Is that what happened to the panel members? They've been chewing
Yeah.
on their rails? as
Yeah, I
kids?
used to chew on the rail, and then I would be rolling a piece of mercury back and forth in my hand just to see what.
Exactly at the
Yeah.
same time.
What do you think made Generation X be Generation X? And jump
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they don't exist, or they brain dead.
I
But
had
yeah,
a thermometer and a manometer in my crib.
We've definitely had a lot of X-rays.
But
I
they-
would like to say something because I have actually, when I found out about mercury as a kid, and this was before I even knew the ramifications, my mom used to get ticked off because the thermometer that she stuck underneath her tongue, which was glass, would disappear.
Oh my God.
Because
Did you
I used to break them and collect the mercury and play with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Russ would go crunch.
No, I didn't do it with my mouth, but I broke the thermometer and got the mercury out of it and played with it and literally played with it. And then my father had a small bottle. It looked like you used to buy medicine that you would put in your eyes is the only way I can
Little dropper.
Yeah, it was like about this high, probably about a half or 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and you would like put drops in your eye for some reason or whatever. Yeah, well, they were really, really, really small. But he had a little small bottle like that on his workbench, and I was asking him one day, I was like, "What is that?" And he said, "Mercury." And I said, "What do you use it for?" He says, "Several of my gauges that we use in the field for leveling and measuring and stuff use mercury. And sometimes the mercury, I don't know if it evaporated. He didn't say it can't evaporate, but anyway, he would like do something. I have to put some more in it for some reason. I don't know. And I found out that was mercury, and I added to my collection of mercury. So I have handled and messed with mercury since I was a kid.
At room temperature, mercury.
Yeah, and I've had
evaporate.
I have not had any problems as far as, I mean, I'm 65 years old. I don't have cancer of any shape or form, which we'll find out when we do the colonoscopy, by the way. But yeah, and so I don't know how the heck I didn't get some kind of disease from playing with mercury.
They make a real good switch when we were out on the farm. They make a real good switch for pipe bomb and stuff.
We get here come over the mature comb, and that stuff worse poison for you.
Oh yeah, if you got a cut of any shape or form, the first thing that my mom whipped out of the the medicine cabinet, and it had that little long stem dropper, and you stick it down there, and she'd rub Mercure comb all over your cut.
Yeah,
guys, my mom would swab my throat with it when I would have like a bad throat. I kid you not.
Yeah,
serious.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
So. There was a company called Bristol. They're probably still in business, but they made flow and pressure meters and stuff. When I was an instrument tech, they were the old pneumatic and hydraulic type. We didn't have electronic ones in there yet. Those things had like a big tank on the back of them full of mercury. And then you'd have pressures coming in from two different directions across a plate with a hole in it. And it would measure the pressure drop across that, and it knew the size of the pipe, so you'd know what flow
when
was.
I first went to
there
work
was like
for
a
the fire
gallon
department,
of mercury in that thing, and every time we pull one off, it was like the mercury had come pouring out of it and all over us. And
when I first went to work for the fire department, all of our the older gauges up until a point, and I don't know what that point was, but if you got a fire truck that was built back in the 50s, let's say, all the gauges were mercury.
Yep.
Had mercury in them. They actually had, like you said, on the back of the gauge had a little compartment, and it had mercury in it, and that fed the gauge. And you technically could replenish it if it went low, but But yeah, our gauges were mercury gauges. Yeah, for
There are
pressure gauges, they were all mercury.
Home thermostats had a mercury tilt switch in them.
Oh, all thermostats
Yeah.
that I can
I
remember
still have a couple.
since I was a kid, started working on air conditioning. All the thermostats had that little glass tube in it with two little wires running in it.
Yep.
Yep. You set the and it with the mercury would slide and then finally make the connection and doop, the air conditioner would come on.
Yep. Our old house had them too.
Yep.
Now,
So yeah, I mean, I the lead thing I know is a problem because the kids used to chew on it. It was made in the cribs, the bed rails, and all that kind of the windowsills in their apartments. Everything had lead in it. But I will tell you this much: you're talking about nowadays reds, yellows, especially yellows, reds, yellows, and a few other colors that are in that color scheme.
Do not take the reds.
The lead in those paints caused those colors to be vibrant. So when you would paint a red, you could actually paint something one coat and it would cover, and it would be a brilliant, vibrant red or a yellow even. Well, since they removed, and this has been back since the 60s, I believe, because it took to the 70s to remove it all or get it all out of the paint from the paint companies. Because I remember my father and my brother saying, yeah, since they took the lead out of the paint, this paint sucks. Because you paint a red wall with one coat, now it took 3 coats to cover it because the lead was gone.
Same with yellow, yep.
Yep, the yellows were the yellows were the worst, absolutely worst. And red and blues, I think,
yellows, you still have to use a good primer before you put the yellow on.
Yep, and the primer needs to be tinted yellow also.
Yep.
We had a DuPont paint plant here on the south side of Chicago along I-94, and it's a hazardous waste Superfund site now.
When I was a kid, we played in the backyard of this company that made steel cables, and they rolled them up, and there's mountains and mountains of those wooden reels everywhere. Well, amongst those wooden reels was a thing we called the frog pond. For years, my friends and I, as kids, we would build rafts, we'd float on it, we'd fall in, we'd go back up on the raft, fall in again. Years we did this. To find out a few years later, guess what was on the Superfund cleanup list? That pond. This company had been dumping their chemicals there for 40 years.
Yeah.
And none of us are sick. That's what kills me. We keep in touch. None of us are sick.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, isn't it?
Well, yes. We're not talking mental health here. We're talking physical.
I mean, it goes on and on. Asbestos.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they used asbestos in everything at one point of the time or the other. It was used. Remember the old houses when they made them? They were frame houses, and they would coat them in the 12 by 12 asbestos tiles.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They would actually frame them. Then they would put a layer of the old tar. What was it called? The roofing
creosote
cover. No, roofing covering. It was black roofing covering.
Yeah, I know.
They used
instead of tar paper, it was the felt stuff.
Yeah, it was felt, black felt, which was basically oil-based felt, which we used to use on roofs. They would put that all over the side of the house, and then they would come back and actually the tiles had holes in them for the nails so they wouldn't crack. And you put the little nails in and hammer them on, and they coated the whole house in asbestos tiles. Do you know that those houses stood for years upon years upon years and never had to be painted?
Yeah, I have our first old house in Kakana. One of the siding, it was like a tile. It chipped, and I knew it was all asbestos, so I didn't say nothing. And then I sold the house, but that whole house was a hard tile, like for the siding, and it was asbestos.
The first house I lived in, the first time I moved out of mom and daddy's house, I was 19, 20, something like that. First place was filled with asbestos insulation. But stayed there about 3 years.
Back in the day, the old warehouses, with the metal structure that were designed, nothing but metal, all interior metal and everything. They used to have blown asbestos insulation that would stick to the metal, and they would come in with a gun and shoot the asbestos all over the beams and the walls and everything for insulation. And they didn't cover that. That was the finished product too. So you would come in and work with all that asbestos stuck on the walls and the ceiling.
Yeah. The tunnels underneath an old school that I redid when I was in the trades, the walls were sprayed like that. The tunnels with asbestos. They used to tell us when you walk through the tunnels, don't rub against the walls and that, because that's what it was.
Try
And
not to breathe.
They just left it.
It's when it breaks. It's not the fact that it's
right.
It's when it fractures or
and then they get that floating powder
you get the floating powder. As long as you didn't touch it or mess with it, it was fine. But if it broke or you ran into it with a cart or something that was caught, then the asbestos would go into the air, so to speak, and you would inhale it.
Our old house, we had a plumbing problem. It was a little beyond my abilities to fix. Had to use a professional. So and he crawled under the bathroom with me, and we both looked at it. He goes, well, here's what I forget what the cost was. Here's what I can charge you to fix it. But if I got to bring in an asbestos removal team to remove all that covering, it's going to triple. So I said, what would happen if you came back tomorrow and none of that was there? He goes, none of what? That's the answer I wanted to hear. So I said, next day on my back, clean out all this asbestos. I had the garden hose down here, soaking it all down, respirator on, Tyvek suit on. I was under there for 8 freaking hours. But it's all gone. And I had
an old lady that had the back of her house was damaged. I don't remember what it was damaged from. There was only like let's say a 3x3 area, and she had called somebody out, and they told her, "Oh, yeah, we can't touch that. It's asbestos. You got to come in and have the whole house removed of asbestos and blah 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 blah." And she found my number and called me, and she goes, "I got a problem." And she was like in her 60s, and I went over and looked at it, and she goes, "Nobody will repair this. I don't know what to do, and I can't leave it like this because the tiles are broken. It's going to rot my house out." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Not a problem." She says, "How much you want?" I said, I'll fix it for and it just so happened to be, I do remember this now. It just so happened to be that she had, whoever built the house, the guy had stored some extra asbestos tiles. In either the basement, or not the basement, but the under part of the house, because it was off the ground. And she goes, "Oh, there's probably 30 or 40 tiles underneath the house." And I said, "Where?" And she showed me. I took unscrewed the side panel, opened it up, and sure enough, you go in 3 feet, and there are like 3 or 4 stacks of tiles. And I looked at her and I said, "Well, let's put it this way. You got a couple $100?" And she goes, "Yeah, I can afford 200." I said, "Give it to me." And I said, "Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions or whatever. I want 200 in cash. And when you come back tomorrow, you're gonna, because I didn't want to be charged with it or whatever, get in trouble, and I didn't want her
not a confession. This is fictitious for educational purposes only.
I didn't want her to get in trouble for saying she hired somebody, so it was just like boom. I woke up one morning and it was fixed. I don't know where it come from. I tore that stuff out, fixed the problem, re-insulated it, put plywood on the top, put some black tar paper over it, and put the brand new tiles on, and collected it took me like 4 or 5 hours, collected my $200 and walked away. And her problem was solved. I made a couple $100 and no problems. And whenever anybody asked her, she goes, "I don't know. It just kind of got fixed."
It's all done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking back.
I wasn't scared of it. I'm like, I'd worked around that crap all my entire life. I'm like, if that's going to kill me, then a lot of things should have killed me 30 years ago.
Yeah. Same thing with me with that pond. I should be dead by now. But I'm not.
Yeah, I should be dead by now. So.
How many of us drank out of water hoses?
Oh God, still do.
Still do. Yeah.
It's child abuse now.
Yep. And we were working the
We never went inside for water. We never. Now you'd have to turn it on and let it run for 10 minutes to get the hot water out of it. So it'd cool off.
I was the opposite. You had to let it run for 10 minutes to get the hot water.
Yeah. We used to just take the hose off and drink out of the bib.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to wait for it to warm up.
We
or
used to
cool
be
off.
playing out in the woods, and we get thirsty. We go down to the creek and just drink it straight off.
I've drank out of our creek in our when we was a kid. We owned a farm. I drank out of the creek.
What was up the road, up the creek?
Yeah, I drank out of the creek before.
We did a trip to Jamaica, and we're on a bus trip to a resort we're going to, and the bus driver is pointing out all these guys who are filling, the plastic water bottles we get at 7-Eleven. Filling them on the side of the road from the stream coming down the hill.
Yeah.
And there's a big pond, big puddle along the side of the road that they're filling the bottles and they wipe them down, they seal them up, and they sell them to the tourist. Okay, a little genius. You found a way to make some money. I'm with that. But, dude, the cars going up and down that road, all that shit that's landing in that water.
Yeah.
He said, do not buy water at the dock. Stay away from those guys.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah. I mean, are some things like the lead in the paint. I actually understand why they did, because there were some poor children that received neurological and brain damage from lead in the paint. So, I mean, and asbestos, it is a well-known fact that it causes problems. I understand these things
now. It's a fact now, but
back then they didn't even think about it. It was just they didn't have the capabilities of doing the research and understanding the problems of what some of the stuff they were using.
I've always thought that if back then they didn't know. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You can't blame them for using it when it was the go-to product back then. But if you continue to use it and sell it, that's a different topic. So.
Yeah, I'll give you a prime example. When I was in my early 20s, they came out with a brand spanking new foam. In the late 70s, I think it was in the early 80s, when they started putting alcohol in the fuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, our normal foam that we used to fight fuel fires would not work because the alcohol in the fuel, which is would turn the fuel. What is it called? What is a polar solvent? No, a polar solvent. A polar solvent can mix with alcohol, can mix with oil or water without any problem. So, due to the fact that it would mix with both, and gasoline was technically oil-based product, the alcohol, when we put the foam on it, would just disintegrate into the alcohol because it wouldn't create a layer of foam like we used to have in the old leaded gasoline.
Right.
So they came out with AFFF, aqueous and something. There's three terms: aqueous, amphibious, or something foam. I don't remember. It was AFFF. But that would actually, the way it was designed, the alcohol wouldn't bother it, and it would put a foam on top of the fuel to smother the fumes and to smother the fire.
Nice.
Well, I've waited in AFFF on my entire life with the fire department, especially on the hazmat. We used to use AFFF all the time. I had been up to my neck in AFFF. I've had it all over me. Now they're finding out that AFFF causes cancer in firefighters.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well, look at the car seats that we were brought up in.
Oh yeah.
It looks like an upside down lawn chair way back.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, I remember those.
Y'all had a car seat. I was lucky if we had a seat belt.
Yeah,
Hey.
we're talking about car seats.
We had a big old Chevy. Chevy Impala, which four-door, which in the back in the days, those things were 40-foot long.
I had a 71. I know them well.
Had that big old huge windshield in the back. I used to lay in the back underneath that windshield and sleep on the way to my aunts and uncles up in Pearson, Florida. And I used to sleep up there, man. I used to like lay there and this feels good. I'm going to sleep. The sun shining through that window.
Type of window in the LTD keep out of reach of Mama's hand.
Yeah.
And at one point we had a station wagon with the middle seat and the back seat. We were just back and forth between them.
Oh yeah.
Our car seat was the dad. My dad yelling in the back, "Hold on to that pig in the back of that truck so it doesn't blow out."
Yeah,
that was our.
When I went with the fire department, they came out with the rule that we had a few accidents and people were hurt, and that's when the seat belts were a thing, and then any firefighter caught not wearing his seatbelt will get written up. And I'm like, oh, okay, that really works well. We've got an old 1960 something 6x military that we turned into a tanker. There ain't no seatbelts in it. So what are you going to do now? Those cars, our old brush truck was a military Jeep with a 200-gallon water tank and a 5-horsepower pump on the back of it that you used to fire off. It don't have seatbelts. It wasn't designed seatbelts. How are you going to write me up for not wearing a seatbelt when the truck don't even have them?
Well, even now, if you have, like we have a 64 Chevy, there's no seatbelts. They cannot give you a ticket for no seatbelts because it was never installed. In the
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this much.
But you have to sometimes get them registered as an antique.
Yeah, the fire department did actually have to. They came out and had the mechanics install seatbelts on those old vehicles.
Retrofitting.
I told Mark, I said, if you ever install a seatbelt, from then on, you will have to have a seatbelt in it.
Yes. No, don't install it. Just register as an antique. There's nothing they can do.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to always roll the window down and say to the cop, "What'd you stop me for? You made me spill my drink."
Yeah, you stopped me you just made me spill my martini. Dang.
Officer, he always goes fast when he's drinking. So.
Yeah. And it had 2 olives in it.
Yeah. Where's my olive?
Yeah.
Hey, if you drop your drink, it's alcohol abuse, okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Been good. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Heirloom Game Calls has been out there. Dan Inge from Dan Inge Woodworking. James Parker's been out there. I appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, Jimbo. All y'all been out there. JP, JJP.
JJ
been out there.
Yes.
Or JJE, I'm sorry. Yeah, JJE. Thank you all for being out there. I appreciate it very much. But we're going to cut out of here.
If anybody needs any dentist work, let me know.
Dentist work, yeah. I can use a couple of crowns, so you can come in there and drill them out, and so we can put the crowns on. I'll call over to England and see if the Queen would like to donate her crown, at least one crown to put on my tooth.
I got epoxy out here. It lasts forever.
Okay. So anyway, but thank you for watching very, very, very much. I appreciate it. So we're out of here, and thanks, Donald. That was very cool. The box looked great. Hey, listen, if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust, you're just too damn busy, or you're lazy. There's no excuse for it. Get out in your shop and make some sawdust. Or you're sick, which I've been sick for a while, so I haven't been out there and made any sawdust. But a couple of things I wanted to show real quick. See, I haven't been making sawdust, but I made me a mantis, a praying mantis. And then I found
things that are made into sawdust, right?
Yeah, and then I found out that I could DTF on toilet paper.
And that's kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
I know where you're going, but I couldn't connect it either. So
yeah, it's DTF on toilet paper. It's having a pooping good time. This is going to be put in our bathroom. I got another.
It's a paradox. There we go. It's a paradox.
And then I made a turtle.
I still think it's a hippo, but anyway, that's.
No, he's a turtle. See, he's got the turtle shell in the back.
A turtle.
Yeah, and Al, since you think he's a hippo, you can kiss his.
His hippo ass.
Hippo butt.
Yeah.
Kid
You know,
friendly. Kid friendly.
turtles actually smell from their butt.
And one thing I did want to show is this was one. What was the guy that you said did this?
Oh, the
Rubio,
Italy.
Mark Rubio.
Yeah, Mark Rubio. This is hand done. This is a
Yeah.
cherry blossom. Hand
Inlays.
inlaid. Yeah,
Yeah.
hand inlaid.
We really got to get him back. That was probably one of the best demos we ever had.
Yeah, it was up there in the top of. It wasn't Mark Rubio. It was Shane Rubio. SR. Shane Rubio.
Definitely
Yeah,
top
he did.
five.
He did
I
a
think it
whole
was Sean.
headboard. He did a whole headboard for his daughter, that same size inlay.
Yep,
Wow.
like that.
Hey, wait, are we ending the show or don't forget
Yes.
we're still live?
Yeah.
Live, yeah.
So anyway, so get out and shop and make some sawdust. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching and God bless.
Good night.
All right, boys and girls. Remember, you don't have to go home. But you cannot stay here.
Nope, you got to get the heck out of here because we're
Get out of
going
here.
home.
We want to get out of here too. Get out. Lock in the
Actually,
door.
we're not going home. We're already home. We're just waiting for you to leave.
Well, I'm gonna hop
You lock
over
the
to
doors, man.
the next